the death of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, has left a huge void not only in the heart of Queen Elizabeth II, but also in the hearts of millions of Britons and people around the world. His passing marked the end of an era marked not only by the Queen's long and enduring reign, but also by an incredibly long and admittedly happy marriage that had come to symbolize loyalty and devotion for 73 years. It was a union that has not only stood the test of time, but has inspired generations as a role model in a world increasingly losing faith in the strength of family ties. The Queen lost not only her husband, but also her closest friend, counselor and support, someone she could rely on in all of life's circumstances, from personal joys and sorrows to the most complex matters of state. His role in the Queen's life was so significant that it can be compared to that of not only a spouse but also a hidden but powerful political advisor. Although he never sought public political activism, his experience, wisdom and sober perspective were invaluable to Elizabeth II, especially at the beginning of her reign. On a summer day in 1939, in the walls of the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth, there was a meeting that sealed the fate of two young people, Princess Elizabeth and Philip Mountbatten. Elizabeth was only 13 years old at the time, and Philip 18. And their daughters Elizabeth and Margaret came to visit the Royal Naval School where Philip was studying. While the parents were busy with official business, young cadet Philip looked after and entertained the young princesses. He was an enviable groom, tall, statuesque, with an attractive appearance, an athlete and a brilliant student. His origin also played an important role. Philip, like Elizabeth, was a descendant of royal blood, but the attractiveness of Philip was not only in his appearance and origin. He had a rare charm, easily disposable, able to listen, and was an interesting conversationalist. That day, apparently, something more than just sympathy was born between them. It was not just a fleeting meeting, it was the beginning of a budding friendship, which was soon to be transformed into a deep feeling. Not long after their fateful meeting at Dartmouth, Britain found itself embroiled in World War II. The world that had seemed so stable and predictable was gone for Elizabeth and Philip. As for the rest of the country, a new period in their lives had begun. Philip, being a man of action, enlisted in the military at the age of 21, becoming one of the youngest lieutenants in the Royal Navy. His military career was not then a desk job. He was eager for action. During those difficult years, his determination and loyalty were not only admired, but became an undeniable testament to his character. And Elizabeth, as a fully grown girl, joined the Women's Auxiliary Corps at the age of 18, contributing to the common cause. Philip would come to Windsor during his vacations to see Elizabeth. In 1945, the war ended in victory and the country rejoiced. With the end of the war, Elizabeth and Philip were able to spend much more time together, allowing their relationship to grow into something more. It is said that in 1946, while visiting the family residence in Scotland, Philip proposed to his beloved, Elizabeth, accepted without hesitation. The love story of Elizabeth and Philip became a legend, which is still followed to this day. And then, the rumors of the engagement of Elizabeth and Philip reached the press, caused a mixed attitude. Despite Philip's military service, the idea of the future queen marrying a Greek prince with German roots caused hesitation. And then, on her 21st birthday, in April 1947, She made an address to the people in which she promised that she was ready to devote her life to her country, but she needed their support. Therefore, the people's approval of her future husband was of great importance to her. These words, spoken at such a young age, brought Elizabeth closer to the people. The wedding ring for the princess, made by the jewelry house Philip Entrebus, according to the designs, in the creation of which Philip participated. The wedding of Elizabeth and Philip in Westminster Abbey in 1947 was a truly grand event, marking not only the beginning of their life together, but also a symbol of hope for post-war Britain. A country struggling after World War II found solace and inspiration in this fairy tale love story. Even the bride's wedding attire, sewn from cloth coupons, was a symbol of modesty and solidarity with the nation. However, it did not detract from the solemnity of the moment. Elizabeth, in a wedding dress, looked simply magnificent. The people wanted a holiday after the grey gloom. The people rejoiced as they admired the young, charming princess next to the noble, handsome prince. Winston Churchill said of this wedding, "Millions of people are glad of this event, for it is a ray of light on the difficult road we all have to travel." This marriage was a reaffirmation of the steadfastness of tradition and values, laying the foundation for a long and lasting union. 2 years later, Princess Anne was born to this union. Elizabeth and Philip, meanwhile, enjoy a relatively quiet life. Prince Philip, devoted to his military career, served as an officer in the British Navy. This period was an exceptionally important stage in his life. Service often required moving around, and when Philip was transferred to Malta, Elizabeth, despite her royal status, followed him. It was a unique experience for the future queen. In Malta they lived, as much as possible, an ordinary life. Princess Elizabeth enjoyed this relative freedom until the summer of 1951. It was a brief but precious period of carefree living. The summer of 1951 was marred by the fact that King George VI, Elizabeth's father, became seriously ill. A vacation at Balmoral, the traditional summer residence of the royal family, did not improve his condition. Doctors insisted on returning to London, but the situation continued to deteriorate. The king looked extremely weakened and anxiety gripped the family. Prayers and hopes were focused on the monarch's recovery, but the disease progressed inexorably. It was an incredibly difficult period for the whole family. The return to the UK was a sudden and dramatic break in the peaceful life of Elizabeth and Philip. All of Prince Philip's plans collapsed from the serious illness of his father-in-law. He was undoubtedly very upset, as he had prioritized his career in the Navy and had expected to serve until retirement. In 1952, Philip was in a remote area of Kenya with Elizabeth, then a princess. Their trip was shattered by the news of the death of King George VI. A deep sadness enveloped Britain. King George VI's death was unexpected. Though predictable, his health had long left much to be desired. For Elizabeth and Philip, who had already been preparing for the role of monarch, the news of the monarch's passing marked the beginning of a new, unpredictable chapter in their lives. They had undoubtedly been preparing for the event, receiving lessons in government, etiquette, and diplomacy. However, the imminent death of the king, at the age of only 56, took them by surprise. Plans, strategies carefully laid out years in advance, required immediate revision. Elizabeth, still a very young woman, instantly became head of state, bearing the burden of responsibility for millions of subjects. Her life, like that of her husband, Prince Philip, changed dramatically. Freedom, albeit limited by royal protocol, was a thing of the past, giving way to an endless series of official duties, meetings with politicians, foreign visits, and endless public life. Lavish royal ceremonies, receptions, and parades all became an integral part of their new reality. As the country mourned the loss of its beloved monarch, Elizabeth II had to instantly demonstrate her readiness to rule by displaying the strength, wisdom, and restraint required of a queen. Prince Philip, accustomed to his independence and freedom, was also faced with the need to obey royal protocol. The sudden change of events confronted Prince Philip with a whole new reality. He had to come to terms with the loss of his dream of continued military service and assume a new role, consort to the Queen, and soon consort. It was this period, according to many historians, was a turning point in Prince Philip's life. He realized that his life was now inextricably linked to Elizabeth's life and destiny, and he would devote himself fully to serving her and the country. It was a difficult choice, requiring him to be selfless and completely abandon his former ambitions. The transition from a military career to the role of head of the royal family required incredible adaptation and inner courage. From that moment on, he became not just the Queen's consort, but her faithful advisor and support for the long years of her reign. His contribution to Elizabeth II's development as a successful monarch is invaluable, and his decision to devote himself to his wife laid the foundation for their long and unique marriage. His role as queen consort was unexpectedly complex and multifaceted. In the future, he would become her faithful advisor, support, but he always stayed behind the scenes, not interfering directly in political affairs. But then, their return to London was organized in haste. Court protocol and affairs of state demanded immediate intervention. The days that followed were a period of rapid adaptation to new realities and the assumption of enormous responsibility for governing the country. This event not only changed Elizabeth's life, but also became a turning point in British history, the beginning of her long and momentous reign. The Queen's coronation took place on June 2, 1953, and it was one of the most significant events in British history. Less than 5 years after their wedding, Elizabeth and Philip returned once again to Westminster Abbey to take new vows. Some 3 million people gathered on the streets of London to witness this historic moment. Thanks to Prince Philip's initiative, the ceremony was televised and another 20 million viewers were able to see the coronation in their homes. It was the first coronation to be televised and it created a sensation, attracting the attention of people all over the world. Every moment of the ceremony was filled with grandeur and symbolism. As the young queen took up her high but lonely post, the whole world froze in anticipation. "God save the Queen" was heard repeatedly, emphasizing the importance of this historic moment. The apogee of the ceremony was when Prince Philip, who became Duke of Edinburgh, knelt before the Queen to take the oath of office. It was a symbol of loyalty and support, remembered by many as a touching moment showing that even in the highest spheres of power there is room for love and respect. The coronation of Elizabeth II was not only an important event for the royal family, but also a landmark moment for the entire country. It symbolized hope and renewal, especially in the post-war years when Britain was recovering from World War II. People were looking for inspiration and confidence in the future, and the young queen epitomized these qualities. Over the next decades, Elizabeth II faced many challenges and changes in the country and the world. Her reign encompassed important historical events such as decolonization, changes in political structure, and social transformation. The Queen has shown remarkable resilience and adaptability, which has allowed her to remain a relevant figure in a rapidly changing world. Over time, despite the challenges, the Queen has continued to fulfill her duties, remaining a symbol of stability and unity for her people. She met with world leaders, participated in diplomatic missions, and supported various charitable initiatives. Elizabeth II became not only a queen, but also an important part of British culture and identity. The coronation and subsequent events in the Queen's life have become an important part of history not only in the UK, but also around the world. Elizabeth II has become a symbol of hope, resilience, and devotion to her people, and her legacy will live on in the hearts of people long after her reign. The story of their relationship is one of love, sacrifice, and adapting to the harsh realities of royal life, constantly balancing public image and personal experiences. Throughout Queen Elizabeth II's reign, Prince Philip has been her faithful companion, supporting her in all her endeavors and demonstrating tireless devotion. He was tireless in his duties, participating in countless charitable events, supporting various organizations, and acting as one of the most respected members of the royal family. He was not afraid to speak his mind, but always did so with tact and respect. His sense of humor, wit, and independent nature, often displayed during public appearances, elicited not only smiles but also admiration for his honesty and forthrightness. It is important to note that the long marriage of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth II was not without its difficulties. They endured many trials, including the constant pressures of public life and periods of personal crises of which the public was only partially aware. However, their ability to overcome difficulties and support each other testifies to the depth of their love and mutual respect. It was their ability to compromise, tolerance, and mutual support that was the key to their long and happy marriage. Prince Philip, with his strong character, was able to find a balance between his personal life and his responsibilities, constantly supporting the Queen and giving her the credit she deserved. Five months after her coronation, Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, went on a record-breaking royal tour, which became the largest in the history of the British monarchy. This moment was particularly important for the young Queen, as she had to demonstrate her commitment to the Commonwealth on the international stage. The trip lasted a full 6 months, and during this time they were unable to see their two young children, Prince Charles and Princess Anne, which added to the emotional strain on the family. During this tour, they visited over 7 countries. Each country greeted them with great enthusiasm, and the royal couple took part in a variety of events, from official receptions to popular celebrations. They also met with local leaders and cultural representatives, which helped strengthen diplomatic relations. Many of the photos taken during these trips show Prince Philip constantly interacting with the Queen, often joking and entertaining her. He truly had a terrific, often sarcastic, sense of humor. He was able to find a witty remark even in the most tense situations when the Queen looked tired or worried. Some sources claim that Elizabeth II sometimes showed her displeasure with his jokes with a barely perceptible facial expression, as if to say, "Philip, that's not funny." However, according to many accounts, such moments were the exception, and in general the Queen found his humor enjoyable and even necessary. The smile on her face is the best evidence of this. His role was not just to make the Queen laugh. Prince Philip was her real support, helping her to cope with the enormous pressure of royal duties. He paid attention to easing the tension of official events, making the Queen more relaxed in dealing with people. During official receptions and meetings, he would often lean over to her, whisper something in her ear, tell a joke, or share a witty observation, which immediately changed her expression. The tension was replaced by a slight smile, and the official's naturalness. These small gestures spoke of the couple's deep connection and mutual support. Their humor was an integral part of their relationship, a kind of language of mutual understanding that helped them overcome difficulties and enjoy rare moments of intimacy. Prince Philip was unique in his ability to be himself in the presence of the Queen. He was not afraid to express his feelings, to joke and be at ease. His sincerity and capacity for self-irony made their bond exceptional, under the heavy burden of royal duties. Elizabeth II could rely on him, knowing that he would always be there to support her. Prince Philip's legacy extends far beyond the British royal family. His contributions to charitable organizations and his invaluable contribution to the Queen's life made him one of the most memorable and respected figures of the 20th and 21st centuries. His memory will live on in the hearts of millions, inspiring loyalty, devotion, and the pursuit of longevity in all walks of life. Their love story, the story of Prince Philip, will serve as a symbol of the durability of human relationships overcoming all adversity. Their marriage was a strong union built on mutual respect, love, and deep understanding. However, the role of the head of the Commonwealth, involving endless travel, and the increased number of official duties greatly reduced the time they could devote to their family. The royal couple was deprived of the enjoyment of ordinary married couples. They were often separated, and those rare moments when the whole family got together became a real celebration. After the birth of their two youngest sons, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, the royal family slowed down the pace of their activities, but, with the enormous amount of travel and official events devoted to state affairs, one can only imagine how difficult it was for the parents to combine royal duties with the upbringing of their children. One can only imagine what an effort of will and mutual support these rare moments together were achieved. These photographs preserve brief moments of happiness and togetherness, proving that even with so many responsibilities, family remained at the center of their lives. In 1972, celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary, Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip showed the world an example of a strong and long-lasting union. "My husband and I," the Queen begins her speech, emphasizing the steadfastness of their marriage, built on mutual respect, love and, as she herself has repeatedly noted, luck. "We have been fortunate," she repeated, emphasizing the happy marriage, the opportunity to raise children, and the happiness to serve the country. The phrase reflected not only personal happiness but also the sense of prosperity that prevailed in Britain at the time, post-war recovery, economic growth, and a sense of stability in which the royal family played an important symbolic role. The silver wedding was a vibrant national celebration, a demonstration of stability. The royal couple's exit to the nation after lunch, in the drizzling rain, was a touching moment that emphasized the closeness of the monarchs to their subjects. Prince Philip, as always, delighted the audience with his witty remarks, diffusing the atmosphere of expectation. It was a real people's party, which captured not only the anniversary of the Queen and Prince Philip, but also a certain stage in the history of Great Britain. The next generation was already attracting more and more attention. In 1973, the wedding of Princess Anne and Mark Phillips brought 500 million viewers around the world to their television screens, demonstrating the growing interest in the lives of the royal family on a global level. It was the first step towards the era of media royalty, where every little detail in the lives of the monarchs became the subject of intense media and public scrutiny. The weddings of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer in 1981 and Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson in 1986 became global events, broadcast around the world, and captured the attention of millions. The births of grandchildren William and Harry, Beatrice and Eugenie further strengthened the sense of stability and continuity in the royal family. However, the idol began to crumble in the 1990s. The rapid growth of divorces in the UK, 1992 was a record high, affected the royal family as well. This year went down in history as a terrible year for the Queen. The breakdown of the marriage of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, as well as the divorce of Princess Anne and Mark Phillips, were symptoms of growing problems. It was a blow to the image of the immutable royal family, the ideal role model. Even the strong union of Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, which had lasted more than 50 years, could not completely hide the cracks that had appeared in the royal family. Rumors of strained relations between members of the royal family, intra-family conflicts and contradictions were growing. The Queen, raised in an atmosphere of strict adherence to tradition and commitment to duty, tried to maintain an outwardly calm demeanor, but the tension was obvious. Despite public demonstrations of family harmony, the problems in the royal family had deep roots and were exacerbated by media pressure. The official divorce of Prince Charles and Diana Spencer in 1996 was the culmination of this crisis. This divorce, accompanied by sharp public conflicts and massive media attention, dealt a serious blow to the prestige of the royal family. Diana's high-profile revelations, her popularity and public sympathy emphasized the rift between the royal family and the people. There was a rethinking of the role of the monarchy in modern society. The royal family was forced to adapt to changing social conditions, to take into account new values and democratic norms. Queen Elizabeth II, with her outstanding tactical skills, successfully survived this crisis, gradually restoring public confidence. However, that terrible time was a turning point in the history of the royal family, demonstrating its vulnerability and ability to adapt in a changing world. History shows that even the strongest families, including royal families, are not immune to difficult periods and have to adapt to the challenges of the time, as demonstrated by Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, who have lived together for more than 70 years.